Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.
Hello and welcome to the Racing Post Cricket World Cup show. I'm James Milton. I'm joined by my Racing Post colleagues Liam Flynn and Matthew Ireland. And from Coral we've got Harry Aikenhead along, and we're going to start off by looking back on a dramatic weekend, particularly for England, who of course desperately needed to beat India to keep their semi-final hopes in their own hands. They did so, and Harry, the outright and the to qualify markets making more pleasant reading for England fans.
It looks a whole lot better, doesn't it? It was more like the England of old, piling the runs on and defending it. We've cut them to 11-4 now. They are still third favourites behind Australia 15-8 and India 9-4, but it's really close between those three now. And to reach the semi-finals, England now 2-7, New Zealand 1-50, Pakistan 11-4.
Yeah, we should stress that the job's not done for England. I mean, they need to beat New Zealand to be absolutely sure, which is no gimme, although the Black Caps seem to have gone off the boil a little bit. But Matt, England, a much improved performance. Can you put your finger on why? I'm expecting to hear two words. The first one being Jason. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you two actually. Liam Plunkett as well. Yeah, I thought both of them returning made a massive difference. It was much more settled lineup. Roy at the top gives Bairstow a bit more freedom to go out and play his natural game. I think as fine a player as James Vince is, aesthetically, obviously he hasn't really done it internationally, and I think there is that stodginess about that kind of play, and Roy's Roy coming back into the side just frees up Bairstow at the other end, and you could just see, they're obviously aided by quite a straightforward wicket. Probably the first wicket of the summer we've seen was what we expected of scores over 300 consistently. Ball coming onto the bat and there was hardly any deviation off. There was no swing, there was no seam, there was no spin. It was pretty much a bowler's graveyard. Yeah, there were a couple of early scares for England. Johnny Bairstow's superbly placed inside edges past his own stumps. You'd think if one of those had cannoned into his stumps, then things could have been different. But I mean, just watching it, and that second set of 10 overs, 11th over to the 20th, I think England scored 98 for no wicket. And then also, the way they defended the target, Liam, with that new ball performance from Wokes and Archer was superb as well.
Oh yeah, they were absolutely terrific. I think everything in the game generally went in England's favour. They won the toss, got to bat first, which obviously they like to do, though not particularly good at chasing in this tournament. Obviously Jason Roy back into the team and an excellent batting service. So yeah, it all went to plan really. I think they also obviously rendered those India spin duo ineffective. Saw Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal going for masses of runs off their 10 overs respectively, and just generally a real morale boosting performance for England going into those knockout phases. They've now beaten one of their key contenders going into that stage of the tournament, and I think obviously one of the other notable aspects of the game was a very bizarre performance from India in sort of that final 10 overs of MS Dhoni and Jadav, almost as though they'd sort of conceded defeat by that point in a weird way. And the run rate sort of just over 10 per over. They had 5 wickets in hand, and yet there wasn't really any sort of impetus or desire to chase that down. It was a very bizarre performance.
It was strange. We kind of wax lyrical about India on these shows, and they have been impressive, but they had that real scare against Afghanistan, and then never really got into the run chase. Even when Kohli and Sharma were together, you just felt that one wicket would be enough to derail them.
There's been a few conspiracy theories floating about, and Dhoni did this last year at Lords, I believe, when they weren't going to win, and but run rate is a big factor. I know India probably will qualify a lot, but getting bowled out really does kind of affect your run rate, and it does give them another, essentially like away goals rule. Gives them essentially an extra point to just kind of play with in their hands by not being bowled out. And there is kind of some logic to it. I mean, they did need 80 off 30 odd balls.
Yeah. I mean, crucially, that for Owen Morgan to win the toss and obviously have Jason Roy back alongside Bairstow, and it paid off handsomely. But Harry, I'm really interested in the team struggling to chase in this tournament. We spoke about England's record chasing targets, before the tournament, obviously when the pressure's off, and they've been so bad doing it in this World Cup, and then India, with Virat Kohli, arguably the greatest ever run chaser in one-day internationals, and they never quite got into it as well. Is it a matter of pressure, and is it something that in-play punters should be looking at?
Yeah, I've been interested to see as the tournament's gone on, like the bets on the runs and the lines have come down.
Yeah.
I think people at the start of the tournament thought, it was going to be 350 kind of chaseable scores, and like you say, they just haven't even got near to them really. I think pressure is an element. It's a World Cup situation, the stakes are high, but in-play punters, I think at the moment are latching onto, if a team's posted like England yesterday, looked like weighed in almost at 3-3-7.
Yeah.
I know you say India's batting line up strong, but teams are just really struggling to get there, and I think batting first has been an advantage. Winning the toss obviously always helps.
Yeah.
I think now with the obviously semi-finals and finals coming up, it'll be a fresh wicket, like you say, scores will probably get a little bit higher. So punters might want to keep on side of backing more runs with the fresher wickets.
Yeah,
the weather and everything.
The weather forecast, and
Yeah.
the harder the pitches are, the better it's going to be.
I think maybe with the weather there was a bit of mitigating circumstances.
and
the 10:30 starts as well means that the ball's swinging
exactly.
around a lot.
The pitch that like England lost to Australia, I mean, is so like two-paced, and even the first game of the year, first game of the tournament in South Africa was pretty. That had been quite dry, but I mean, the amount of balls that were going through point rather than carrying behind the bat, it showed how two-paced kind of the pitches were at that point.
Yeah, definitely. I think the scores might get a little bit higher in the semis and final with the pitches.
Yeah, and you have to give the bowlers credit. I mean,
absolutely.
Chris Wokes absolutely
three mains in a row.
yeah, fantastic from Chris Wokes and Archer in that early stage. So India are back in action on Tuesday at Edgbaston. They're playing Bangladesh. Bangladesh still in with a squeak of making the semis, but they'll need to beat India. What are the match prices here?
Yeah, we've got India 1-5. We're expecting them to bounce back from that defeat yesterday and seal their. I know they're pretty much through, but seal their spot. Bangladesh 9-2 for an upset. They have played a lot of good cricket this tournament. They've had a couple of good wins, and they came really close against New Zealand. But I think against the bigger teams, I mean, we took them for quite a few runs. I would expect India to win that one, and they are the heavy favourites of 1-5.
Yeah, that's it. I think Bangladesh conceded 390 against England, 380 against Australia. So if India win the toss, bat first. What do you make of that 9-2 Bangladesh, Matt?
I'd be more sweet on them in the other game that they've got coming up.
Pakistan on Friday.
That's kind of one of the final games, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Bangladesh have probably proven they're probably the 5th or 6th best team, I think, in this. They're quite reliant on a core number of players. I think India will win. Probably see a bit more turn than you did on Sunday, because they're probably going to use the same wicket, aren't they, I would have thought. The bet that I've looked at, I was kind of surprised that Mushfiqur Rahim is kind of third in the top Bangladesh run scorer. He's only failed once this tournament. Last two knocks have been 83 and 102 not out, with 102 was against Australia. He scored 90 against the Indians in a warm-up game in Cardiff only a month ago. Yeah. So he's been in great form, and obviously Shakib has kind of stole most of the headlines for his pretty much player of the tournament kind of displays. But I quite like Mushfiqur in this one. Yeah,
he's an unbelievably consistent player, isn't he? Liam, what do you make of the betting on this game?
Yeah, I got quite a sort of straightforward bet for this one. Mohammed Shami, I think, has been terrific since he's come into that India team, and I think to take 2 or more wickets at a shade of odds on. He finished with a 5-wicket haul against England at Edgbaston, claimed a scalp for some of England's key batsmen in that game, like Bairstow, Root, Morgan and Butler as part of that. Now 13 wickets across 3 matches, which is quite remarkable really, after taking 4 against Afghanistan and the West Indies. And it's going to leave, I mean, Virat Kohli's come out, I think, said he's going to have a bit of a selection dilemma now with Kumar as well, whether or not he's going to come back into that team, or whether they'll stick with Shami, taking the new ball with Bumrah. But he's likely to be involved again, and he didn't take any wickets against Bangladesh when India played them in the warm-up game, but he bowled quite tightly in that one. I think 2 or more wickets, the way he's been bowling at the moment, should be quite a safe bet. The other one I like the look of, I think, is a super smart boost of Coral. Shakib Al Hassan to hit a 6 at about 9-2. It could be worth a small bet. I mean, he's not the type of batsman to go big, but there were 15 sixes scored between England and India in their game at Edgbaston, and he struck maximums against England and South Africa in this tournament, and he's been just in tremendous form with that ball.
He scored 1 though, didn't
It did.
That was definitely lopsided. Totally.
The risk of blowing my own trumpet, actually, MS Dhoni to hit a 6 against England was my nap of the last show.
And I need one Mills.
I should also give a shout out to Ian Wilkerson, who was in the chair as the anchor last week, and put up England and India to score 300 at 4-1. So hats off to Wilco there. Listen out for more big winners, hopefully, in this show. So that's Bangladesh, India, and we're now going to move on to England versus New Zealand at the Riverside on Wednesday. Very simple equation for England. If they beat the Kiwis, they're through to the semi-finals. And Harry, they're quite hot favourites, I imagine.
Yeah, they are. England 4-9, and it's about 7-4 for New Zealand. So they are hot favourites. I think just the way we played yesterday was really getting back to the England that we've grown to admire over the last 2 years. Take that confidence. Jason Roy, obviously, as we've touched on, big boost coming back, and I think I would expect, and the odds suggest that we expect them to win that game in Durham on Wednesday. 7-4 for New Zealand. They look like they're running out of gas a bit and kind of stumbling over the line. 7-1 to win the tournament now. I think halfway through the tournament, people were starting to think they were going to be the outside bet, but I know they probably will submit semi-finals, but not too many people backing them now.
Yeah.
Not sure if the 7-4 will prove that popular.
Yeah, I mean, England's one-day game seems to be so much built on confidence. You know, they're having suffered those back-to-back defeats, and just the performances as well against Sri Lanka and Australia. Now there's a bit more swagger, and I personally think they're playing New Zealand at a good time. I mean, you know, New Zealand were in huge trouble against South Africa. I think if South Africa hadn't been so down in the dumps, they'd have won that game. And then New Zealand lost to Pakistan and then to Australia. So, Matt, you think England should get the job done here?
Should get, I mean, the Windies could have beaten New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
I think they kind of benefited like England. They had quite a soft opening kind of set of fixtures, and then they've got gradually harder. The pressure's this is the pressure game in it of the whole last week, really. But England got a pretty good record at the Riverside. They've won 6 of the last 7 there in Durham. And, you know, there's been a lot of focus on kind of England not making the semi-finals, but a New Zealand defeat will put them in quite a perilous position. Yeah. This is their final game, and both Pakistan and Bangladesh could overtake them because their run rate is, I think it's about half, 0.5, whereas a couple of big wins for either Bangladesh or one Bangladesh win. Were they on 9 as well?
Bangladesh are on 7 points.
They need 2 wins.
2 games to go.
They're playing Pakistan. So Pakistan only need 1 win to really put themselves in the mix. So,
so they'll be under pressure, New Zealand.
Definitely, it's a big game in it. And I know England haven't really kind of dealt with the pressures. They've said they have, but New Zealand haven't really kind of choked a little. 240 against Australia, probably fancied them to get close to that. Didn't really get anywhere near it. I think all 4 they were winning games at the start of the tournament, but none of their batsmen really got a bat, and the only ones who've really shown any. Once you get Williamson and Taylor, you're scratching around to see who else is going to put in a match-winning contribution.
Yeah, and they've just been losing early wickets.
Yeah, Guptill's had about 3 first ballers, has he?
Drop
Monroe, Jimmy Neesham blows hot and cold. There's a lot of avenues for England to exploit.
Yeah, Liam, can you make a case for backing New Zealand, or do you think this will?
No, I wouldn't at all. I think given the form that they're going into this game, I just think it'll be fairly comfortable for England. Like we said there about Guptill and Monroe, they haven't been convincing at the top of the order. Tried something different, bringing in Henry Nicholls. I mean, he only scored 8 of 20 balls or something in that game. So there's serious concerns at the top of the order. Their biggest positive, I suppose, has been their bowling performance in this tournament, and especially Lockie Ferguson. I mean, he's been absolutely terrific. But the bet I like in this game would be Trent Boult to be their top wicket taker. I mean, he has been bowling superbly in this tournament, perhaps overshadowed somewhat by the likes of Matt Henry and Ferguson in those early games, but he's finally getting the wickets to show for it. I mean, he's on 13 now, I think just 4 behind Ferguson in the New Zealand wicket-taking charts. He tends to thrive in matches, I think, against stronger batsmen, stronger opposition as well. 4 wickets against the Aussies last time out, dislodged Finch and Khawaja in that contest, and it was the paceman who sort of racked up those early wickets in the only game to be played at the Riverside in this tournament, with Morris, Pretorius and Rabada taking 8 wickets between them for South Africa against Sri Lanka. So I think it's about 3-1 Trent Boult to be top New Zealand wicket taker, and given the calibre of bowler he is, I think that's quite a good price.
Yeah, and England have struggled against quality left-armers for as long as I can remember, really. So yeah, that sounds a very valid tip there. So that's England versus New Zealand at the Riverside on Wednesday. We're going to have a short break, and then we will be looking ahead to Afghanistan versus the West Indies and Pakistan, Bangladesh.
Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.
Hello and welcome back to the Racing Post Cricket World Cup show. I'm James Milton with my Racing Post colleagues Liam Flynn and Matt Ireland, and from Coral, Harry Aikenhead. And we're going to be looking ahead at another couple of the final round of group games, starting with Afghanistan versus West Indies at Headingley. Now, Headingley, the venue where Afghanistan came agonisingly close to a win over Pakistan at the weekend in a really exciting game. And I think they traded about threes on in play before Imad Wasim saw Pakistan home. Well, yeah, it was it was a really it was a clinical display. I mean, Imad Wasim kind of had so much respect for the Afghan spinners who've been brilliant. He was seeing them off and then took 18 runs off that Gulbadin over to effectively win the game. Harry, I am quite keen on a little nibble on Afghanistan in this game. What odds can Coral offer us?
Yeah, it was about 7-2 chance. West Indies 5's on, and I think as the odds look like you wouldn't be touching West Indies at that price.
Yeah, West Indies, as we speak, are actually in action against Sri Lanka. So
I just worry about Afghanistan. They just look like a team that's just forgotten how to win. They've obviously played a lot of cricket against. Well, they have had some great wins in the last few years, but this tournament, the confidence is just taking a knock every time. Yeah. I don't think that game would have done them any favours. They were close, obviously, against India as well. They're just struggling to get over the line. Yeah. I think at the price is 7-2 will tempt a lot of people. Yeah. West Indies, you never know what West Indies team is going to turn up at the best of times, and now they're not playing for anything. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of motivation they have for the game.
Yeah, I mean, Afghanistan obviously were in a great position against Pakistan. They actually traded odds on in play to beat India as well, and then ended up coming 12 runs short, I think. I just think their three spinners in those games particularly have been absolutely impeccable, and then the worry is just whether the West Indies hit kind of 250 off the other 20 overs. But Matt, can you make a case for the upset?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it all rests on their free spinners. The caveat with Afghanistan is they need to bat first, because you wouldn't back them. You wouldn't back them to score more than 250. Yeah. At any point. Yeah. Really. That is just. Yeah. They are that kind of side.
Yeah. They say. I mean, their batting order seems to be. They just kind of write 11 names on on bits of paper and just throw them up into the air and see how they land.
We're on about Gulbadin.
I think David Bowie used to write his lyrics.
Well, we're on about Gulbadin, and I mean he's taken the Sunday League captain, open the bowling, open the batting, come on to bowl at the death.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter how good you are.
Probably driving the team bus as well. But.
Yeah, the key is the spinners. I like Mujib in this one. Probably Rashid Khan is probably their, he's their premier spinner, but I think everyone knows so much about him that a lot of people are more careful. I like Mujib. He bowled really well against Pakistan. Turns it quite a bit. Headingley just kind of turn a little bit. They'll know the conditions. West Indies, I kind of got suckered into the West Indies after they played Pakistan. Yeah. We thought, oh, here we go, 90 mile an hour, we're going to bowl at your head. It's going to, the old holding, Joel Garner, and basically that's their only plan. And the better teams have just spanked them. Yeah,
it has been disappointing because we saw them in the series against England at home, and they drew 2-2 and just scoring tons of runs on very flat wickets. And then when their bowlers put in that opening performance, you thought, hang on, if they put this all together, they're going to be dangerous. But it's petered out very quickly.
They went that one game and then they tried against England.
Well, they had Australia in big trouble and let them off.
That was the big game, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. You think if they'd managed to close that game out, it might have been different. So Liam, Afghanistan tempt you at those odds?
Yeah, very possibly. I mean, I think they've brought a lot to the tournament. They've played some exciting cricket, and yeah, I mean the way the West Indies set up, they're very inconsistent, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them snatch a win. I think they probably deserve one coming out of this tournament. The way they've been playing.
It seems to have been quite a lot of chaos behind the scenes, which is obviously affecting them. But yeah, they've certainly not been disgraced.
No, not at all. And I think talking about Gulbuddin there, I think he might be a bit of a value. I don't know when the prices come out to be their top run scorer in this game. I mean, there's very fine margins in their run scoring charts at the moment. I think Najibullah, Hashmatullah and Shah on 199, 197, 196 respectively, and Gulbuddin only just further back on 189. And in, as you say, a very disorganised batting order that seems to change every week. I think there's always value in that market. Fell 3 short of a half century against Bangladesh. Was going well on with 15 runs from 12 balls before being caught against Pakistan to scoring at a half decent rate, and 27 against India. And I mean, as Matt touched on, they don't post particularly high scores, so you're only looking at sort of between 30 and 40, and you're within a chance of top scoring in this side. So I think that he could be a good bet in this one.
Excellent. They need to bat first.
Yeah.
If they don't bat first, they won't win. There
you go. Forthright opinions from Matthew Ireland there. Now the next game, Pakistan-Bangladesh. Bangladesh obviously in action against India on Tuesday. So a quick turnaround for them. Harry, have you got prices for this game?
Yeah, we do. We've got Pakistan at 4-9 and Bangladesh 7-4. I'd have been interested a week or so ago. The odds might have been different the way it was shaping up. Pakistan was struggling. Bangladesh got a couple of good wins. My gut feeling is that coming straight off the back of the game tomorrow against India makes this really tough for Bangladesh.
Yeah.
I think that's reflected in the betting as well as Pakistan's form.
Yeah.
They're quite warm favourites at 4-9. The 7-4, sorry, on Bangladesh, but I think they'll struggle. I think with a quick turnaround and the form that Pakistan are in.
Yeah, it's 2 big games. I mean, I think if you do fancy Bangladesh, you probably want to back them now, because if England win and then Pakistan can't qualify, then those odds are likely to.
There's a lot to happen before that game that could affect it.
Yeah.
So you're right. If you're keen on Bangladesh now, it's probably the time to.
Yeah. Maybe wait till they get hammered by India, and their price goes out, and then back them, and then England win. That's your trading plan there, I think. Liam, have you got any tips that stand out in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I find myself sort of putting this one up every week. But Babar Azam, top Pakistan run scorer, I just can't get away from how consistent he is. I think he reminds me quite a lot of Joe Root, actually, in a sort of style. In Ul Haq and Zaman opening, and often Pakistan will lose one of them fairly early on, and he'll come in and steady the ship, quite like Root does whenever England lose an early wicket. And yeah, I mean, he scored 45 against Afghanistan, unbeaten 101 against New Zealand.
Yeah, real match winning.
That was absolutely terrific, wasn't it? And 69 against South Africa and 48 against India in his last 4 games. He's just really is Mr. Consistent for them, being Pakistan's best batsman by a landslide, 378 runs. I mean, Hafiz is their next best on about 226. So, and I think, it does depend on the situation, the context of this game. But I think if the pressure is on Pakistan to win, and if they and if a victory would potentially put them through, he's a kind of player who would thrive in that situation. So I think he looks like a good bet.
Yeah, I mean, I think for years we looked at kind of Root, Kohli, Smith, Williamson as the pinnacle of kind of all format batting, and I don't think Babar Azam is that far off.
No, not at all.
I mean, his statistics in white ball cricket are phenomenal. Still learning the ropes in Test cricket, but yeah, he's a very special player. Matt, any fancies for this one?
I fancy Wahab Riaz to have quite a good game. It's a bit of a left field selection. Kind of they've gone back when before he didn't feature in the 5-match series against England, and then brought him back for this. He's been around the block a bit, but he's been taking wickets, and he's bowling pretty quick still. I fancy him to certainly take a few wickets to the death, and if there was a kind of a market on him to hit a 6, he's been hitting the stands quite a bit really at the end of the order, so that might be a juicy little price for you.
Hit a big one against Afghanistan, didn't he? So
against Australia as well in that game.
I don't think he was in the provisional 30-man squad when it was first named, but yeah, you never know with Pakistan selectors. But yeah, this one seems to have come off nicely. So that's Pakistan Bangladesh at the Riverside on Friday. We're going to have a little break, and then we will be back with previews of Sri Lanka, India, and Australia, South Africa.
Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.
Hi, welcome back to the Racing Post Cricket World Cup show. We're going to be looking ahead to the final games of the league stage of the tournament. And on Saturday, it's Sri Lanka versus India at Headingley, scene of Sri Lanka's remarkable win over England. And I think they're 8-1 to win that day. Harry Aitkenhead from Coral. This will be a similar kind of shock if they can beat India.
Yeah, they're a 5-1 chance for this one. I think it would probably be a bigger shock, although the odds suggest that it won't be the way they've played. Sri Lanka have kind of surprised a few. The conditions and the scores have kind of played into their hands in a way of posting 220 and being able to defend it. I don't think their batting has the capability of getting much more. India 1-5 in this game. Odds-on favourites. You would expect them to win. Obviously, a lot of cricket to be played before then. Sri Lanka could go into that game with still a chance of making the top four, and India might already be in. So there could be some changes or whatever, but it's hard to make a case for Sri Lanka, really. They'd need some magic from Malinga, I think.
Yeah. I mean, just the way they were beaten by South Africa. South Africa side who were so low on confidence, and then to get
the batting just doesn't
by them,
really look.
Yeah, I mean they're playing the West Indies as we speak, so maybe they'll post 450 or something, but I think it's unlikely. Matt, any betting avenues for you in this one?
Yeah, I've got two little fancies in this one. I think this will be the time that Virat Kohli goes on and reaches three figures.
Yeah,
he's got 4 in a row, 450s in a row.
Yeah,
kind of got himself out really.
Yeah, he looked in magnificent touch on that. Yeah, not the easiest of pitches, and
he's just a class act, isn't he? The other one would be Hardik Pandya to score a 50. I know you want him to score one in about 12 balls.
I do, yeah, that would be nice.
He looked in destructive. It's his destructive best against England, and I fancy him. He's starting to get going, and I think he could tear into some of these Sri Lankan spinners and medium fast bowlers.
Yeah, I'm thinking along similar lines actually with Rishabh Pant. I think that could be a bit of pandemonium, as the IPL fans call it. He came in for that game against England, an extraordinary innings, could have been run out twice in the first 3 balls or something. But I mean, he has got some incredible shots, and I think if you look out for when the runs lines become available for him, and won't take long for him to get to 30 or something. Yeah, Rahul. Yeah. So he could go up the order, so that would be interesting as well. But I mean, he is a phenomenal striker of the ball. Liam, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, I like the look of Vishka Fernando, top Sri Lanka run scorer. I think. I mean, obviously Sri Lanka were fond memories of Headingley, as we said, from that win over England. But in that game, Angelo Matthews was their star player of 85. But Fernando actually looked in pretty good nick. I think he posted 49 runs off 39 balls, and then followed that up with a 30 against South Africa, which was actually their joint top scorer in that game. And as I said, very similarly to Afghanistan, I think Sri Lanka are the kind of team where you don't need a tremendous score apart from in sort of those anomalous results.
I mean, that 49 in the context of a low-scoring game was a really important game.
No, absolutely, and I just think I expect he'd be quite a decent price when that comes out. So that would be my bet.
Excellent. And the final game is Australia against South Africa, which at the start of the tournament we might have thought this would be some kind of grand finale to the group stage. They're the 3rd and 4th teams in the anti-post betting, but very contrasting campaigns. Australia top of the table, and South Africa eliminated a couple of games ago, I think, Harry. So what's the betting here?
Yeah, the Aussies are 4-9 favourites for this. They might make a few changes, I don't know. So that might play into that, but they're hot favourites, and I think justifiably so. South Africa have just not come off at all, and Australia have just been so clinical. I would think even if they do make changes, they'll still be firm. Well, they are firm favourites for this game, and I think even big hitting punters might still think that could be the banker of this round of fixtures, really. Yeah.
Matt, South Africa did get a win against Sri Lanka last time out, but do you see them
I don't think they'll get another one somehow.
No.
7-4 South Africa.
I was never that really hot on the Aussie team coming into the tournament, but they've got so much more better balance with bringing Berendorf and Lyon in instead of Coulter-Nile and Zampa. I mean, Lyon's a 300-odd Test wicket bowler. He's more
it's strange how limited the opportunities he's had in one-day cricket.
Yeah, but I think Liam's going to agree with me, but this is all about Mitchell Starc. And this guy is the best bowler in the world, really.
Yeah.
No one can get him off the square, really.
I mean,
he used him so well as well, because he bowls 2 overs he bowls 2 overs up front, and then he'll bowl a few in the middle, and then he'll just come in and mop up a tail. you can see him getting 3 or 4 again.
Yeah, he was player of the tournament at the last World Cup. He hadn't played a huge amount of one-day cricket leading up to this tournament, so you know there were a few concerns over his fitness, but he just looks fantastic.
I was with someone yesterday who said it's like you get rid of Mitchell Johnson and it's like a football manager regeneration, and you get Mitchell Stark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not good news for batsmen. He's already, I think, Harry, you said 1 to 10 to be leading wicket taker. He's got about a 6-wicket lead at the top there already.
Yeah, it's been a very impressive form.
Yeah. Liam, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, Matt's right. I do agree with him. I mean, all the talk coming into this tournament was about Jasprit Bumrah, and I mean, he's still got time to shine. He's been bowling quite solidly, but Mitchell Stark's just been so far above the rest of them. I mean, 24 wickets in this tournament, absolutely exceptional figures against New Zealand of 5 for 26, and I just keep watching that Yorker that he used to dislodge Ben Stokes on repeat. It was just absolutely phenomenal, possibly ball of the tournament. And
have you bowled a few like that in your career?
Oh yeah, absolutely, every game. Yeah, no, but I mean, South Africa's openers, they've failed to impress in this tournament, exception of the last game. I mean, Amla has just been so slow scoring and sluggish and just not impressive at all. And de Kock hasn't really reached the standards we expected from him going in either. So I think with the new ball, I could see him racking up some wickets early on, and yeah, I think it'd be a good price.
Excellent. So the boys are all over Mitchell Stark for that final game of the league stage. Now I'm going to ask you for your naps, your best bets of this week's fixtures, and Harry, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go for the Afghanistan-West Indies game. Chris Gale, potentially his last, obviously he's playing today, potentially his last World Cup game. I've got a feeling that Chris Gale will fire in that against some favourable seam bowling early on. He's 3-1 top bat. We'll play it safe with 4-6 for West Indies to have the highest opening partnership in the match.
Fantastic. Matt, what's your pick of the bet?
I'm going for Mushfiqur, top Bangladesh run scorer against India.
Excellent. Liam?
And I'll go Trent Boult, top New Zealand wicket taker against England.
Very good. My best bet is Bangladesh's Mahmudullah to score 25 or more against India. He scored back-to-back centuries at the last World Cup, and he's been batting really well in this World Cup, overshadowed by Mushfiqur and Shakib, but he's my nap of the week. So thanks for following our World Cup shows. Our next one is on Monday, when we'll be looking ahead to the semi-finals.
Don't bet silly, bet savvy. Join Coral's Bet and Get Club and get a free £5 bet every Sunday. The smart money's on Coral.